Hello there. Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, February 12th, blah, 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 and I am Rob, that developer dad. And I want to talk a little bit about web app security this afternoon. It hasn't been a huge issue because I've got authentication and authorization, and I'm using some Microsoft services for those. And frankly, Microsoft is smarter than me. So I'm going to trust the work that they and their teams of individuals have done to provide me services that I can use to keep myself and my product and my users safe from the bad guys out on the web. But and I've also not had any clear text fields in the application yet. But now that we've introduced one in the NPC filter, that provides a vector by which a clever and mean-spirited individual could try to vandalize my work, or perhaps even get access to some secrets that it shouldn't. Oh, what's going on? Oh, that's right. Ha! I haven't rebuilt. I just did a .NET clean. I have to do .NET build before I can run the app. So yeah, that open text field in the filter is a vector by which a bad guy could try to vandalize the thing I've built, or steal information about my users or the system, or perhaps get access to some of the very expensive services in the background and use those for free or what have you. So it's on me as the creator of the product and as the producer of the service to do everything I possibly can to protect myself, my work, and my users from those jerks that live out in the world. So for now, let's take a look at what the application looks like while it's running. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. And just in the lead up to going live this afternoon, I was chatting with my buddy Claude Sonnet over here in the sidebar about some of these security concerns that I want to try and address in this work session. So far, everything's been drop downs and button clicks and so on. It's really hard to tamper with that stuff. But right here, that name field, if we use it legitimately, your repository, I'd give it a solid, I don't know, 7.5, 8. It does what you need it to. It's storing the code. The code itself is really well structured in those HTML files. We can discuss that in greater detail offline. If it's solving the problem you're trying to solve, man, screw it. Give it a 10. Okay, so our input here, we're A-okay here. Now, I've already put some stuff in here that keeps me from doing too much damage, because A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. I've got a max length on this field of 25. So the really nasty scripts aren't going to have much luck even being put in there. That said, that's on typing. Let's come in here and try I'm just going to grab a big long string in here, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it, and you can see that our input is likely much, much wider than 20. Oh, nope, it definitely cuts me off at 25 characters. So that's good. The Blazor controls and the HTML and JavaScript and CSS that they're rendering are absolutely doing their job to limit what's going on there. And we're filtering, and it's got no characters found. So let's clear the filter. Clear. I said clear, you goose. Are we on a breakpoint? Nope, it doesn't look like I am. Oh, yeah. If you haven't done it already, Johnny, if you go into the GitHub UI on the website and go into the Copilot preferences, make sure you go in and enable Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And if you're feeling silly, you could even try the new Google model that got added in the past couple of days. I believe they've just added Gemini 2 Flash as one of the models that we can use. So let's try this. We'll try pasting that in there. I think it's Gemini 2 Flash. I noticed it when I was in there earlier. I didn't pay too much attention to it because, okay, so here's some nasty stuff. So here's a typical SQL injection attack attempt. And let's apply it. I'm not using SQL in the back end, but we've got no characters found. So that's cool. But if I were using SQL in the background, I probably would have just trashed my back-end infrastructure. Here's one that could get gnarly for me because I am using Azure Tables, and this NoSQL injection could be particularly awful. And let's just grab this whole thing, copy. Now, because I'm using a link query to filter the results that come out after the Azure table call runs, this might be less of a threat. But I'm not always going to be using the code that I'm using right now. So let's see if I can find, here's a cross-site scripting attack. Here's a sneakier version. Let's try this. It's probably longer than 25 characters, so it may not work, but let's try it. Apply. And something somewhere is freaking out. So this looks like a pretty good example of why we need to do that. Oh, okay, no, it just took a little nap. No characters found. Right on. Yeah, I had a conversation with one of my Founders Club members last night. We hung out in Discord for a little bit while he got into this for the first time and kind of kicked the tires and did some playing around with it. Come on, let me just refresh this. I wonder if my network's just being a git. apply. Okay, clear. Apply. All right, we're good. Okay, so there's SQL injection, a little bit of sneaky cross-site scripting, HTML injection. Wonder what happens if I just put a malformed HTML tag in here. Div. Hello, or we'll just put in a well-formed HTML tag first and see what it does. Oh, wow. Right on. That's a beefy freaking server, and it didn't do anything with it. So that's good. We're getting some protection right up front, but I do want to add some sanitation. Test file, run the sanitation against them. That's all theory, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Let's go back to where we were talking about the actual input sanitation methods. Can you reprint those suggestions you made, please? And while it's doing that, I am going to come into here in the API workload provider in the character workloads. And we're just going to shrink the run panel down. And where are we? This is generating character properties. We don't need that. Let's filter townsfolk. Okay. And NPC manager, filter townspeople. Right on. I'll check that after this work session, Johnny. So, to do, we need to sanitize the filter object before we let it any further into the system. Now to do that, I think I'm going to put that code in the That Developer Dad framework project that is in existence down here. Now here's wrappers, converters, guards. What's in common guards? Guard null reference. I'm going to say public static string sanitize for security. This. Now I'm just going to say string input. And I'm also going to send in an I logger. And I need to let's not do that. Ref bool did sanitize. Okay. Let's come back to Copilot. Oh, right on. Very cool. So we've got character workloads, input sanitizer. Not quite what I want to do here. I think instead what I'm going to do is and I'm not going to copy and paste. Instead, I am going to implement these lines one at a time because I want to actually understand what's happening in here. So, bool. Oh, wait. So ref bool did sanitize. If input, come on, Rob, string dot is null or white space input did sanitize is false, we're just going to bounce. Whoa, $10 an hour to run? That's a lot. That's an awful lot. Okay, var sanitized equals HTTP utility dot HTML encode input. And then I'm just going to copy and paste these next two lines. Copy. Paste. Going to bring in the reference to regex. Boop. There's that. And this rips out all of those things. It rips out all of those. Now, where's security constants? I wonder what that is. Oh, we're right up here. Excuse me. And let's do let's just close this up. Guards, new file. It's going to be a class called security constants. All right. Come back over to Copilot. And I'm just going to grab this stuff because that's just typing. Copy that. Paste that. Save. 95 per month for what you need per server. That's considerably better. You could just buy servers, but then you got to worry about networking and routers and switches and pain, owie, owie. Did sanitize is that. Return sanitize down here, just to stop that from screaming. And let's spin back down to the method that we're implementing. For each var pattern in security constants dot dangerous JavaScript patterns. We just go and strip those out. And we want to string comparison dot ordinal ignore case. Yep. Good. For each var, yeah, just do that. We're good. Compress white space. That's that. And then we return the sanitized. Very good. Oh, right on. I'll take a look at all of this stuff after the stream, Johnny. So let's come into character workloads. And in here, I am going to var sanitized filter equals, let's call it safe filter equals private townsperson filter sanitize filter. And this one is going to receive a logger. Safe filter equals sanitize filter with the filter and my logger. Bool sanitized value equals false. Now I want to come back to common guards. Did sanitize equals, the strings are different. Good enough. Return safe filter, just to make the method stop screaming at me. And I'm going to change the name of the boolean to value changed. There we go. Sanitize each filter field and place it on the safe filter object. Safe filter dot name equals that. Common guards, we got to import a namespace. Here's that. Filter name. Let's come into sanitize for security definition and make that so that it can accept a null value. And this can return a null value. Very good. Save. If value changed, the name filter was sanitized due to potentially dangerous stuff. That's a very, very, very beefy testing server, Johnny. That's a lot. var SB equals new string builder. Let's pull this in. SB dot append line name filter value was sanitized for security. Personality, that's not one of the properties on personality. Silly thing. Come on. Species. Value changed. If value changed. If filter dot vocation. Oh, wait. Come on, Rob. I've got my head so far on my butt right now. Safe filter dot vocation equals that. If value changed, apply that pattern. And what else is on the townsperson filter? Go to definition, just user ID, which is mechanically set, name, species, vocation. That's all we need. All right, now, if SB dot length is greater than 0, log information's a little bit, log information is fine. Okay. Finally, safe filter equals sanitize filter, safe filter. Save. Now, just before I run the test on this, I'm going to pop into the Azure portal. And bear with me for just a second. I'm going to log in as me, and it's logging me into a different tenant. So I'm going to switch directories over here. And come on, Azure. Sometimes it's a pokey little puppy. Data migration, not migration, you silly goose. I need to go into V1 user objects. And let's see here. Timestamp. Are there any that I created today? This one maybe. And those are all created as not me. I need to find my user ID. Bear with me for just another second here. Business objects. And let's see here. I think this is me. Yeah, AOB66 blah blah blah. Let me grab this. So edit and copy this value. Now I can go over user objects, add a filter, column, user ID equals that, apply, good. And I want to sort so that more recent things come up at the top. And I'm going to edit one of these characters and add an apostrophe in their last name. Back over here in the code window, let's, come on, where's my little grabby thing? There we go. We got to rebuild. Do, 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 do. You know what I miss from the Minecraft Java edition a couple of years, from when I was playing it a couple of years ago, before Microsoft strongly altered some of the stuff in it, was being able to fully customize the world that gets generated. Because in the more recent builds, finding iron ore is a gigantic pain in the neck. It's not as common as I wish it were. Okay, so there's that. Let's run the app. I'm going to put a breakpoint here. Let's load this up, refresh. Got all my stuff, filter. Safe filter is not the same. Oh gosh. I'm a silly goose. There's something I forgot to add. Safe filter dot user ID equals filter dot user ID. We don't have to sanitize that. All right, rebuild. And come on. You done? Yep. There we go. Now we can run it. Off it goes. Reload. And let's make sure that okay, good. My user ID is in place. Let's go. And let's take a look at the NPC list. Okay, so there's Alondra Uvereth. Let's try filtering with this. So the filter is coming in, and you can see the U apostrophe, or the U with a single quote. Let's step over. The name filter value is sanitized for security. So what does it have now? And it's U and 39 semicolon. And I expect this to fail. Not crash, but come back with no results. And it did. And why is that? It's because it's no longer searching for you with a single quote or apostrophe. It's searching for you with the ampersand whatever. And because of that, I need to come up into my resource access code. I don't need the project file. Let's go into V1, NPC Access Azure Table Provider, and Let's clean some of that up. And in fact, I'm going to outdent that by 1. All right. Now we're going to need to do something a little bit differently than what we're doing out here. And sort back in, blah, 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 blah. Let's take care of getting that out of here. And read the field values out of the filter object and into local string variables. We need to do some manipulation on them and performing them inline in the filter logic below will be ugly and inefficient. String. Name criterion equals HTML encoder dot, nope, let's come to the common guards and see how we're doing it. HTTP utility dot HTML decode. HTML utility using system web dot HTML decode filter dot name string. That, there we go. Now instead of all this mess, actually let's go ahead and go dot trim dot trim dot trim. And we'll just put the null escape operators in there. Now these are nullable. Can I pass a null string in? Yeah, apparently I can. And it'll theoretically decode a null string back to null, I hope. So now, name criterion, species criterion. And the reason I'm reading these values into these local variables outside of my loop is because that's code I really only need to run once. Because what I'm looking for is the value to compare every item in this NPC entity pages collection. And as I iterate over that collection, I don't want to have to evaluate these lines of code every time because these values aren't changing from one iteration through the loop to the next. contains name criterion, species, and location criterion. All right. Yeah. All right, we'll pop that out, rebuild. Yeah, when I have a list of 100 characters, there's no need to run this exact same HTML decode logic against every single one of them. That seems goofy. All right. Well, let's run it. See what happens. All right, that's going. Come in and manage NPCs and reload. Just let that rip. Back to the browser. And let's search for NPCs who have U apostrophe in their name. So we're going to be sanitizing. Yep, groovy. And let's just run it. Oh, why is it running again? Peculiar. All right, let's see what we got. Still have none. So that means we need to step through what's going on up here. Let's stop right here. Let's apply it again. So there's that. Our safe filter. Okay, we're good. Let's run. Now, the filter name up here is the HTML encoded thing. And our filter here is no longer HTTP utility dot HTML decode filter dot name. Doesn't seem to be decoding that correctly. Hey, Claude. Use it, don't forget blah, 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 blah. So when the HTML encoded values get to my filter logic, they're failing the string comparison against the values in storage. HTTP utility dot HTML decode doesn't decode the encoded string. What am I doing wrong? after their values have been stored. Instead, you should handle encoding, decoding at the boundaries. Encode when storing, compare encoded values when filtering, decode when display returning. All right. That's not what I asked. I've not encoded any of the data that is already stored. I'm not about to going to make that change now. What I need to do is decode the encoded filter fields All right, let's see what it says here. Dismiss. Okay, that's code I already have in the file, as you can see. The issue is the HTTP utility.html decode u ampersand 39 semicolon returns u ampersand 39 semicolon instead of u apostrophe. Sanitizer storage, HTML encode, okay. I'm using HTTP utility.html encode in the sanitize. Something ain't right. Quick test to see the values at each step. Let's attach common guards. .cs so you can see the encoding and decoding logic to make your assessment. That's why. Okay. Because the pound symbol is getting ripped out. Did sanitizing was false. HTML encode. regex.replace. Sanitize. Yeah. Preserve these encoded entities through the sanitation process. All right. So common guards. Let's apply here. There's no change there. Excuse me. Okay, so this one's fine. That one's fine. Handle special characters, but preserve that. We'll return sanitize.trim. Save. And let's come over to special characters. Let's just accept. Go to definition. And the only change it made here is that. Save. Stop. Rebuild. And rerun. Sometimes it's the silliest little details that give us fits. But this is really important because I don't want people injecting horribleness into my executing code and blowing my stuff up. Run in here. Come here. U apostrophe. Hit it. And let's actually step into this. Let's step into the sanitize for security. There we go. The input is U apostrophe. Sanitized is U ampersand hashtag 39 semicolon. It has not changed. Let's just run down here. We'll run down here. I'll get rid of those breakpoints because there's no need for them. We're good. Did sanitize is true. And we'll step out. Name filter was sanitized for security. Let's run. And let's see what our name criterion looks like up here. It's still got that darn ampersand without the thingy, without the sharp sign. Just let her rip. And let's run that again because I want to see where in that process it's changing. So here's apply, step in. Okay, so it's you at ampersand hashtag. Let's just run it down here. Go. Okay, so it got zapped somewhere in here. Let's take a look at the table storage special characters. Okay, so there's that. Here's what we'll do. And this feels really gross, but I'm going to add the single quote back in. Now, here, removing special characters will break HTML encoded values. Use a regex replacement to repair those patterns. And for that, what I want to do, I'm going to come back to Copilot. Looking at the comments I added on lines 57 and 58, let's build a regex replace to look for a pattern like, I believe it's ampersand something semicolon. Excuse me. Numbers semicolon, and replace it with ampersand hashtag numbers semicolon. Pardon me, goodness. And I see that I'm slightly over time here, but let's get this regular expression figured out. Okay. Matches the literal ampersand. Oh, hush up. Matches the literal semicolon, one or more digits in a group. Replaces the ampersand with ampersand pound sign and a semicolon. Good. So let's grab this. Copy. Paste. Cool. Now, will that regex break HTML encodes like ampersand LT and ampersand GT? I just want to verify. No, it's fine with encodes that never included a pound symbol I believe the pound symbol is used in HTML encodes only to numerically identify characters and isn't applied to non-numeric encoded for other kinds of HTML encoded glyphs. So there's named entities, and then there's numeric entities. So we're good. It only impacts the numeric entities. Cool. Let's test it. And then, if it works, woohoo. If it doesn't work, I'm going to keep grinding and I'll report back tomorrow. But I do want to run just this one last attempt and see what happens. Excuse me. Then I got to call it a session because I don't like going more than an hour usually. And I also need to go look at Johnny's stuff. Really excited about this Minecraft server service that he's standing up and all this other stuff. And I've kind of blown off a lot of that conversation because I am very focused on getting this security stuff in place. So we're built. Let's run. It's running. It's coming to manage, reload. Nope. And we just skip over that filter. We could skip over that because there's no values in there. We'll come back to the UI. Hit this, looking for U apostrophe. Apply it. And let's go ahead and step in. And then I'm just going to step in and we're going to walk through the name field because it's the only one with the problems. So there's the sanitized value right there. I'm just going to run across these loops because there's no sense. And we see that the sanitized string is now broken. It's no longer a legal HTML numeric entity. Strip out the white space. We'll repair. And we're back. And we'll run. Now we're into our name criterion. And it's null. What happens when we HTML decode this? We have U apostrophe. And now we can run. And we can come back to the UI. And there's Alondra Uvareth. And we have ourselves a secured free text field. And because of the way I set all this stuff up, I can now fairly easily sanitize and encode and decode and all of that stuff as needed anywhere else in the application, because I stuck that logic into into my framework class as a static method on a widely shared class. So without the breakpoints, we can clear our filter. We've got all the stuff. How many half works are in my database? I've got a few. Wow, sure does love to use the letter G for half work names. I'm going to have a chat with GPT and see. Let's apply that. Finian, no minor, Pippin, Linnea. Let's take a look at the halflings. Apply. Milo Miro likes M's and L's. Okay. Let's get rid of that. And do I have any brewers? I've got a couple. And we have ourselves a completed feature. So not bad for approximately 6 working hours to go from a non-existent UI, only bare minimum logic that I was using just to filter the NPCs based off of the user ID, to having a dynamic filter UI where I don't hard code what goes in here and I don't hard code what comes out. And then I can actually do the filter object construction and manipulation and all of that stuff inside the screen that's using the filter form. And we're sanitizing our input in a way that's reusable anywhere else that I need it. And yeah, we absolutely have ourselves a completed feature. So let's do the source control ritual. Let my buddy over here, my buddy Claude, describe this set of changes. Implement filter sanitization for townsperson filter to enhance security and prevent injection attacks. Commit. And I'm really, really glad to be preventing problems before they happen. And let's push and pull. I'm going to do some pull requesting and merging and deploy this stuff up to production offline. Tomorrow, we're going to start in on the next piece of enhancement that I wanted to get to. So we've got delete NPC, we've got filter NPC, and the next step is edit and expand the attributes. And after talking with one of my users, they think that they would rather see some expanded attributes before I implement end user editing. So that's what we're going to do. Tomorrow, we're going to start adding some additional things to these NPCs at the random generation phase of things. It's going to be some fun, and it'll be really interesting to see how these new attributes that we inject affect the output from the language model. I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening. Until then, take care of yourselves. Happy coding. And Johnny, I'm going to take a look at that stuff in Discord in a few minutes. I've just got some post-stream chores to do and set up the build and deployment for this update. So until next time, take care of yourselves, happy coding, and I will see you all in the next video.